approach to the GA process, just kind of refine some stuff, and the other Will is going to lead that. And he's going to go over the hand signals, so I won't go into a whole lot of time. Absolutely. The big thing. Remember? So I'm just going to introduce the committees.
Fairly familiar.
I get around.
Oh, but there's only like this.
Yeah, but I mean,
If more people come,
oh, I see. But when all the new people come, okay, we'll just keep it in
I'll
mind.
do it again if I need to. So basically, Occupy San Diego. At this point, maybe you're familiar, maybe you're unfamiliar. We've voted on a couple of things. One of the main things to know, I guess, is we're meeting at Civic Center. That's going to be the whole take place. We're going to meet here and march over. The big thing to take away from this right now is all the different committees and all the different groups you could be on. We have logistics, which is a giant group that has like a bajillion subcommittees. One of the subcommittees is medical. Then we have transportation, which is going to handle like carpooling and trying to get people from different areas all to the same place where we want to occupy down in Civic Center and to our march to get to Civic Center. There's also food, which is going to handle trying to get food, how we deal with food, distribute food. So if you have any experience with that or just think that'd be something cool to do, that's a committee to be on. I'm trying to think through all the committees we have. Security, which is going to not in a traditional sense, because this is going to be a peaceful, non-violent protest and assembly. So just kind of to police our stuff as we gather and occupy, and to we've talked about it, but it hasn't been settled. Maybe possibly liaisoning between the police. That's something we still have to decide during the General Assembly. Am I missing anything else from logistics?
Cover outreach.
Well, within logistics.
Food.
Comfort is going to be dealing with, they're trying to get like meditation groups, possibly massage therapists, just kind of things that would help us all be comfortable, because we're going to all be out of our element. It's a concrete jungle out there, you know, we want to be comfortable. We're trying to do this long term, so the more comforts and, you know, individual things we can do for people to try and help out and sustain this, you know, the better. There's the outreach committee, which my personal opinion is we're all outreach. You know, everybody around you, everywhere you go, every day, the people you interact with, you know, you should be talking to them. Hey, you know, have you heard about Occupy Wall Street? Have you heard about Occupy San Diego? If they haven't, just kind of put a bug in their ear. After tonight's General Assembly, you should have a, you know, a little bit of a foundation, and there's Google. It's amazing.
Will there be committee meetings after the General?
Committee meetings happen before the General Assembly. We meet here every day, and committee happens first, and then we have the General Assembly afterwards. Don't worry, I'm going to take like 5 minutes to do this, and then just kind of wander around. You'll see people huddled up and just say, hey, what committee are you in? And if you know, if you wanted to do security, just walk around until you find security and just huddle in.
You don't need to be part of just one committee. You can be part of as many committees as you want and you feel you're useful for.
Absolutely. One of the things outreach is kind of doing, and it's in line with some of the other things that are other groups are doing, is reaching out to different organizations, trying to get donations of any kind. You'd be surprised at what could possibly help. You know, we all have our individual needs, and we may have trouble getting supplies or water or food, so we want to reach out to as many of the local businesses around us. Arts and entertainment, they're going to be doing things like writing songs, poetry, anything artistic. I think we're working on a Monopoly board. It's like a centerpiece for our whole movement. It's going to have like different congressmen as the real estate, and like how much money they've accepted from, you know, big business and capitalism.
That's a big Monopoly board.
This guy right over here in the gray shirt, he's heading that up. Monopoly man.
I just want to say one thing about outreach. Before all you guys leave today, if you guys could please just get in contact with one of the point people in outreach and give them your email addresses so we can forward you guys our PDFs, our press releases, all that stuff, so you guys can print them out and distribute. That would be phenomenal. That way, you know, we only have some limited set of resources, so if you guys have access to some type of maybe corporate copier or printer, you can go ahead and just print those out in mass quantities and go ahead and distribute them out in your local neighborhoods or wherever you guys might be too.
The legal team, I think, is kind of forming tonight. We only had 1 or 2 people. I think we have 3 lawyers at this point. We're going to be activists first and lawyers second, but again, they are lawyers and they're going to be on the legal team. And they're trying to train people to be legal observers, just to kind of take notes and be aware of what's happening so they can kind of write it down in a journal, document it, and protect us as we're all, involved in this together.
What about media? Media.
Media is gonna. So there's several websites you may or may not know about. There's occupysd.org, which is linked with occupysandiego.org.
It's the same website.
Links, they're the same thing, but I think both get to the same thing. There's a Twitter, there's a Facebook group, and then a Facebook event page. There's a plethora of stuff that's posted. If you refresh that, like every 10 seconds, it's going to be something new. Everybody's posting on that constantly. It's a great source of information in this technology age.
One thing about occupysd.org, it's our own social network, right? It's our own Facebook. So when you guys go onto there, you're going to make your account just like you make on Facebook. You'll have a profile with your picture. You'll be able to see the names of everybody who's in the group already. You can add friends. It's a way for us to distribute out responsibilities within groups. Everybody joins your groups just like you have here online, and we're able to create posts and forums and have discussion online. So it's a really, really efficient way for us to be all communicable. We're trying to make that our primary resource for communication within the group. So if you guys go on tonight, it'd be phenomenal if you guys could each sign up, make your own profile, and join the groups that you are here, just so you guys can see what we're doing, and you guys get minute by minute kind of updates as to what we're progressing through. That'd be phenomenal. Okay.
The Facebook thing's a little
New
I'm
for
not all
you?
that familiar with. So what do you do? Log on to Facebook and go SD?
No, you can go directly to occupysd.org.
Okay.
And then it'll come right up, and you can just join our community, and then it'll have like the whole prompt for your name, email address, the whole 9.
Does anybody have any questions? General, specific, anything?
Have you decided where you're going to go on Friday?
Yes, we are meeting here
We're meeting here at 4
4
o'clock.
o'clock, and
And
at
we're-
that point we're going to march to Civic Center, which is only 2 or 3 blocks away. And Civic Center is the primary location that we had voted on for our occupation. We do have a secondary location identified. It's
USS Midway.
Yeah, the grassy
Right down by the
area
Embarcadero.
in front of the USS Midway.
Real quick, I want to talk about the GA. Did you talk about the GA already?
I did not talk to the GA. We do have a process committee, and the GA is kind of going to be run a little different. So I wasn't going to go into hand signals because I talked to the other Will. Confusing, but I talked to Will, and he said that
Go over it.
yeah, because we're doing he's doing a different approach tonight, so we're going to just do it then.
Alright,
So
cool.
we're trying something a little new in GA. I don't know what's happening yet, but Will, I guess they kind of refine the way we do it. We do everything here on consensus, which basically means everybody has to agree before we pass a motion, basically.
We're chilling on the basic City Hall property until it was time for them to kind of move off. They moved to the sidewalk, and then by about 12, 1 o'clock, whatever, people were kind of moving back onto the grass where it was more comfortable. Cops weren't really bothering them, and then they're allowed to be there from 6 o'clock on, 6 a.m. on. So
yeah.
it's kind of like we're going to see how it goes. It's an occupation, so a big part of what we're doing is trying to make them feel a little bit uncomfortable at the same time. But, if you don't want to be arrested, it's kind of like your own personal decision. You don't need to be arrested, you know what I'm saying? If a cop tells you to move, ask them if there's a legal order. If they say yes, you can go ahead and move. If not, and you're practicing civil disobedience, you're choosing to be arrested at that point. But it's a matter of personal choice. We were trying, I think, yesterday to kind of make the decision whether the group wants to get arrested as a whole, and I don't think that really went anywhere. So I think it's going to be, from where it went, is kind of like everybody's able to make their own individual decision based on, your better judgment.
He is Anthony. He's from media. He wanted to put a little plug in because I guess they have some needs that they need filled. So.
Yeah, all right. Anthony from representing the media committee. Just so everybody knows, it's nice to see everybody today. It's nice to see that we're getting more and more people show up every day. Anyway, yeah, I'm for the media committee. I'm just here to let everybody know that the number one thing we want to have running, I think maybe not the most important, but definitely one of the most important things we need to have running Day one is the media tent. So we're going to need, if anybody can afford to bring in old laptops, microphones, lighting equipment, any tables. We need tables, possibly a canopy tent, something like that. We're going to need, if anybody has any connections to like wireless hotspots or anything like that, that's what we're struggling with the most right now, is the size of the bandwidth and how much power we're going to be using and how much information we're going to be sending back and forth. So if anybody has any of those MiFi, the 4G, or things like that, the little device that you can use there, you can all plug our stuff up to. Also surge protectors, extension cords, anything like that.
Generators.
Anything you can think of, but that'd be really helpful because the media tent, we're struggling to get supplies right now, and those are really important. All right.
And where would you bring those things to?
Just bring them to the next GA, and or actually you could bring them to the occupation. We're not gonna. Yeah, resources. Just bring them to the occupation, hand them over to resources, and they'll give them to us.
I didn't say there, but there's a resources committee, and they're kind of like, the committees will individually go to the resource committee with their own list and say, hey, this is what we need to function, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and then the resource committee is going to try and mold all those things together and go through whatever committee they can or whatever venue they have and try and procure those items. So, and they also handle donations of any sort.
I got two.
Does anybody have any
So,
questions?
oh, that's orientation. So, welcome. Thank you.
Awesome.
I would refer you to Comfort. There's a Comfort committee that there's already kind of established their own meditative groups and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have.
Got here, and when I kind of stepped in, it was like a little frustrating because it's trying to get like a whole group to agree on one thing so we can, pass that motion. So just bear with the craziness. If you've never been to one, it's interesting to say the least. So that's all I have for you guys. You guys don't have any questions for me?
I'll say a couple things about the General Assembly. The things that kind of make the General Assembly go slower is going to be side conversation, all right? If we have one person speaking, listen to that person all the way through before you choose to interject. Everybody gets a chance to speak here. We're usually here for a while for General Assembly, so just take your time and listen out whatever their arguments are. They may bring up something you don't know about, or you may have not thought about, it may change your mind. There is going to be a due process, so please try to stick to the due process, because especially when it comes to like voting and people passing motions, there can only be one motion on the floor at one time. All right, that's another big thing. People start throwing out motions left and right. So just try to get done with one thing at a time, and the General Assembly will go by so much smoother. That's what I've seen anyway from my experience when we've had it.
Do you use the consensus process or something closer to Robert's Rules of Order?
Consensus.
Yeah.
Definitely consensus.
What time does the GA start?
The GA
After
starts
committee meetings.
Yeah, after committee meetings, usually like 7.
Yeah.
Committee starts at 6.
There.
Right around the
We'll
big
just
circle.
find a
Yeah.
circle and